This is
Good
our last
morning.
class
Yeah.
for this year. It's Hashem. So hopefully it'll be a good one. We are on Daf Nun Ches, page 58. And we, I believe we turned the page yesterday to 58b.
Correct.
Yes, you did.
And so let's just go over a little of the Gemaras that we learned on 58a.
I learned a new
Yeah,
word today,
What's the word?
Isach, in
Isa.
Hebrew, and apparently it means to uproot, like la'akor. When
How do
they
you
say
spell it?
about Isach batei geim,
Ah,
or batei geim Isach.
right. Okay.
So I asked Rabbi to read it to me in English. In English, it said uproot. So
Yeah,
Now
I
you
don't know
know.
if that's 100% literal, but it means more or less uproot. But
yeah,
in any event, okay. So the Gemara that we learned yesterday, we had this. We did the story of Rav Sheshes, who was blind. The Tzeduki story. I think that was the day before. So
the page before.
So then we had the story of Rav Shila. This was a new story. Rav Shila's story where Rav Shila gave malchus. He gave lashes. He gave some type of a malchus, rabbinic lashes to this man who had relations with a mistress, with a Egyptian woman. And the man went and he told on him to the government. He said, "Look at this guy. He's taking the matters in his own hands. You should, you should get him." Now, according to Jewish law, that's a terrible sin, what he did. Even though he got lashes, but he's not allowed to go and give in a Jew. It's called a meiser. Meiser is giving in a Jew and telling the government about a Jew who did something wrong. People
But that
have
happened in Israel too, to Moses.
And it happened. That's right, in Egypt with Dasan and Aviram. They said that Moshe killed someone. Right. That's considered a meiser. It's a terrible sin, and it's really punishable by death. Which means that if someone says that they're going to be telling the government on someone, that person has subjected themselves to be killed. Just by saying that, they're just by planning on doing it, by proclaiming that they're going to be telling on someone, that would be tattletaling, so to speak, to the government. That would be a terrible sin punishable by death. So anyway, he went and he told the government about what Rav Shila did, and they called for this Rav Shila. Rav Shila came, and they said, how did you do such a thing? You gave someone lashes. So he said, well, the guy had relations with a donkey. So they said, you have witnesses? He says, yes. And Elijah the prophet came from heaven and presented himself as if he's a human, and he testified this guy had relations with a donkey. And the government, so the judges, they told Rav Shila, so why don't you kill him? That's not just lashes. That deserves a death penalty. So he said, well, we don't do the death penalty. We are, we have the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. We haven't judged capital cases, so we don't really do that. But and then it's questionable if he said you can do what you want, or he didn't say those words. But in the meantime, he said a certain pasuk, L'cha Hashem Agdula V'Gvura, this famous pasuk that we say when we bring out the Torah, and Vayvarach David as well, we say it. So they said that, what are you saying? So he said, well, I'm just thanking Hashem that he gave a kingdom on earth similar to the kingdom of heaven. And in other words, that you people are similar to the heavenly kingdom. And he gave us a kingdom that the people who love judges who love what they do, they love judgment, righteousness, and mercy. And so the judges were all impressed with this Rav Shila. They said, you know what? we're giving you the rights that you have the right to punish anyone that needs to be punished. You don't have to bring them to us. We're giving you the kulfa, which is that stick that they would that gave him the right to punish people. And they told him, you can go judge your own judges. You don't need us. So the man was all fed up with this whole story, because not only he didn't get what he wanted, now Rav Shila even was honored by them. So he decided, so he went to Rav Shila. He says, Hashem makes miracles for lying. I mean, look at this. Hashem, does this make sense? So how could, Hashem made a miracle for you? You lied. And it made Elijah come and testify in a false test. So Rav Shila said it's not a lie. According to Jewish law, having relations with a non-Jew is considered they're considered chamayrim. They're considered donkeys. In other words, for a Jew to have relations with them, it's like it's totally off limits. It's like living with a donkey. So and there's a pasuk that implies that. So he said that he's going to. He showed that he's going to run. He run to them and tell them that tell the government. Look at what Rav Shila calls Look at what Rav Shila calls all the goyim. He calls them donkeys. So he saw that he was going to tattletale on him to the government. So he said, now this guy's a roidif. Now he's a murderer. He's going to tell this person. I have a mitzvah to kill him and save myself. I mean, self-defense, it's called. And he took his stick and he killed him. And so that's the story of the of this guy. Now let me see. Mordechai, did you want to say something? We don't hear you. Your microphone something's wrong. At least I don't hear you.
Yeah.
Mordechai, we can't hear you. Something's wrong with your mic. Maybe put your
It happened to him yesterday too.
Oh.
Start speaking. Maybe your microphone is at a very low. Move your microphone. Switch all the way to the 100%, maybe.
Yeah, but Rabbi Sitran was the same thing.
Oh, he tried to say something. Okay, so we'll have to figure it out another time, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, but maybe on the left, what could it be? If you click on that arrow up, it might show with or maybe your microphone's not attached. Is that the issue? Maybe it has to be pushed in more, or I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I wish I was better, more savvy.
Have to check his cables.
Okay. In any event, what's interesting is that there is a discussion among the commentators, among the halachic codifiers, if a person is a moiser, if they are giving in a Jew to the government, are you allowed to kill them after they do their crime? Or is it only if they're about to do it, then you could kill them? In other words, once they sinned already, then you have no gain of killing them. In other words, it's not as if it's a punishment for what they did. It's more to save a Jew. And the Rambam holds that you're not allowed to kill him after the fact. Before the fact, before he gives in another Jew to the government, then you could kill him. But after the fact, you can't kill him unless he's muhsak, unless he's a person that does this often. Then you could kill even such a person. You could kill. So they say that this Gemara might be a source for that, because, well, if any of you want to figure it out from the Gemara, Ezra.
Well, don't you have I don't know if it's precedent. Ben soeu moeh. You kill the individual before he gets to be of that age where whatever he does can be even more detrimental to him and to everybody else. So perhaps this might be a parallel. You take him out before he does anything to hurt the Jewish nation as a whole.
Let me just mute everyone. I don't know what that is. So you're saying maybe it's similar to the Ben Seirer Umayra. And the Ben Seirer Umayra, that case, you're right. You're sort of, it's preventative medicine. He should die innocent and not die guilty. And the Meiser, I don't know if I would say it's similar because it's more protection. We're protecting. It's more about we want to protect the person from not being given to the government. So as a form of protection, at least the way this commentary, at least the way the Rambam seems to understand it, is you're protecting the this person from not, in order to protect him, you have to you're killing the Meiser. So it's really as a way of protection for this. You're doing an act of protection because we don't know what will happen if he gets given into the government and they could kill him and so on, torture him. And so, and it's a sin that deserves to be stopped. We have to stop it at all costs, and that would include it killing the Meiser. Now, after the fact, so in the case of Ben Seirer Umayra, after the fact, the reason why we're killing him now when he's innocent and not when he's guilty, after the fact, if he would be guilty, we would kill him then. Also, if he went around and killed people and so on, if he didn't have money that he wanted and he went and killed someone, we would end up killing him. And so, but here by a Meiser, you could say is different, at least the way the Rambam holds, is that it's different because after the fact, he already did what he did. So we don't need to protect the other person because it's too late. And so therefore there wouldn't be a reason to kill him, only if he is a muhzak, if he is known to do this often and he has proven himself that this is what he does. So in that case, we're protecting future problems, protecting future people from getting into this problem, and therefore there would be a mitzvah still to kill the Meiser, the person who gives someone.
A Meiser or Malshin is an informer.
Informer. Okay, good. Thanks for the word.
He informs
Informer.
the government.
Right. Okay, good. That's the word. Thanks. So
Rabbi.
Yes.
Just a quick question. This story with Rabbi Shela and the man who had relations with a Gentile woman, and he said that he should be flogged. Is this person that's Saduki, or this is a Jewish person?
Yeah, just a regular person.
Oh, okay. It wasn't the Saduki.
No, that's a different story. That was a story of Rav Sheshus with the Saduki. Okay. That's a different story. Now here it's just a person gave in to his temptations. And he had two problems. One is he gave into his temptations with a Egyptian woman, and number two is he's a Meiser. He is an informer. And so what we see in the Gemara is interesting. They gave him the right to do whatever he wanted. Right? They said, here's the stick, you punish whoever you want to punish. And he could have right then and there killed this Meiser, this informer. But he didn't. He waited until the guy was going to go again to inform on him. So some say this might be the source of the Rambam's view that after the fact that someone informs, you can't go in and punish him with death. It's only before the fact. And here he's saying he's going to go again. Now it's before the fact. Now he had the right to give him this punishment of the death penalty for being an informer. And before it was already too late. He had already informed on him, and it wouldn't have been right. He wouldn't have been allowed to go and punish him with death. So that's this could be the source where the Rambam gets his way of qualifying this rule of punishing an informer. Okay, so the Gemara continued, and it mentioned that interesting line where Sheila said, since miracle happened for me, I got saved from the government. Who knows what they could have done? He punished him. He punished this guy. He killed this guy. But he said, since a great miracle happened for me, he says, let me darshan this pasuk that came to my mind. The pasuk of L'cha Hashem Hagdula, V'Gvura, V'Tiferet. So he darshans that the Hashem is great with his act of Bereshis, the creation, and then it talks about Gvura, strength, that's Yitzias Mitzrayim, Yad Hagdola, the strong hand. The Gvura is the exodus from Egypt, that Hashem brought us out of Egypt, and Tiferes is the fact that Chamol Levana, the sun and the moon, stopped in their place for Yoshua to win the war, and the Netzach is the destruction of Rome that's going to happen, and the Hoid is the miracle of Nachal Arnoi, Nachle Arnoi, which was when the Yidden were passing, getting close to the land of Israel, and they the enemies wanted to throw big boulders on them, and miraculously Hashem made the mountains join together, and all of those enemies were killed, and that's that miracle Hoid, and then Kichol B'Shamayim U'Va'aretz, that refers to the war of Sisera, that with Barak and Vaira, and that from the heavens they were saved, and somehow the stars, the constellations were moved around. Then L'cha Hashem HaMamlacha, that refers to Hashem's Malchus, that refers to the war with Amalek, and L'cha Hashem HaMamlacha is because by Amalek it says about the kingdom, about the throne, it says Yod al Keska. So there's always a war with Amalek in every generation. That's how Hashem is going to have the Malchus over Amalek. He'll have the kingship over Amalek and Hamas Nase. Hashem is exalted. That's the war of Gog and Magog, which is also a war that's supposed to be fought now in the Asir Levi. Supposed to, by the time of Mashiach, we're supposed to have this war of Gog and Magog, and that's where Hashem is exalted. And then the Gemara mentions L'chol Roish, that Rav Chanan bar Rava says the name of Rav Yechanan, that it means that anyone that has any position, even someone in charge of digging wells, in charge of diggers of wells, so that person was chosen by Hashem, is L'chol Roish. Anyone that is exalted in any shape or form is Hashem is the one who elevates them, and they were chosen, they were elevated from heaven, they appointed them. And then it mentions another opinion of Rabbi Akiva, that he teaches in a brisa that L'cha Hashem HaGedula refers to the splitting of the sea, Gevura, strength, refers to the smiting of the firstborn, Tiferes refers to the revelation at Sinai, Mount Torah, and Netzach is the conquering of Yerushalayim, and it's the Netzach is that is Yerushalayim, and Hoid is the Beis Hamikdash. So these are all the this is the way Rabbi Akiva expounded on that verse, and that basically concluded side A. Yes, Mordechai. Let's see if it works now.
Okay.
Ah,
Can you hear me now?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there was the thing about where it
One
said
second.
that
One second.
What?
It seems that you have two machines on,
Yes.
and you're getting an echo.
Okay, hold on a second. Can you hear me?
Now we can. Yes.
Oh,
Now it's
okay.
good.
Yeah, there was a thing about in the previous story about that we can't try capital cases. I think I had read that at the beginning of Megillas Esther, when King Achashverosh had asked the Chachamim for their advice, they also answered him, "We can't try capital. We can no longer try capital cases."
Right. It's a good line. the funny thing is, right afterwards, Rav Shela goes and kills him. But he said that we don't try capital cases, but we see that he did right afterwards. I think we just looked. Oh, okay. We see right afterwards he went and killed him. So how do you reconcile that? Anyone thought about that? He just told the government, "Oh, we don't do any capital cases," and then the guy's going to be a miser. He goes and he kills him.
Oh, can you hear me on this one?
Now we started. Now I can hear you. I didn't hear. I don't know if you said anything.
I think what it was is my plug-in earbuds that it was plugged in enough to hear the share, but not plugged in enough to hear what I
speak
saying.
for the microphone.
Right.
Okay. So anyway, so the bottom line is, yeah, thanks for connecting it with that other Gemara. So what it seems like is once he has the right well, I guess there's 2 points here. One is the right to try capital cases is going through a court system. The right to punish a miser doesn't go through the court system. That's just that's whoever can get there first and save someone from being murdered or save someone from being informed on. That would be okay. So that would seem one difference. Another difference is now he has the official permission from the government to judge cases. So he's judging not as a rabbinic judge. He's judging as has a right from the government. So
Rebbe?
he's not. Yes.
One I think is ahead of time, and the other is afterwards. When you are killing a moser, you're killing him to prevent him from doing something. And then if you get arrested, you have a defense. He was a moser. You don't go to court and ask for a writ of moser so that you can kill him.
Right.
Right? Okay. So
that was the first thing.
So first you did it, and then it's a defense. The other way, you're talking about a bezdin that has the authority and is going to go through the judicial process. And for that, you need to have authority ahead of time.
Right. But so that was the first. That's the first point. Thanks for wording it in your legal terms. But the second thing I mentioned was that there's it's possible that now he's not subject to the rule of not giving the death penalty because he now has the right of the government. That the government has given him the full right to punish whoever needs to be punished. So he's ruling with the judgment of the world. I'm just throwing a thought there. So it seems like that there might be
so he has
room.
That he's given the authority to raise that afterwards, right?
So so things might have changed once he got that right. Okay. In any event, the Gemara continues on page B, and it talks about Roya Bate Yisrael B'Yishuvan. You see houses of Yidden that are reestablished. They're back in the neighborhood was built up and reestablished. Now, some say that this refers to a Beis HaKnesses, that shuls that they were destroyed or totally in shambles, and they got new energy. They got renovated and built up again, and people are using them. They're in use now again. So you would say this bracha of Baruch Matziv Gevul Almana. I am told that there's a psak, a halachic rendering from Rabbi Elyashiv, who was one of the great scholars in Eretz Yisrael, that if a person goes to the Chorva synagogue, which is a synagogue right in the old city of Yerushalayim that they rebuilt. It's a beautiful shul. In fact, I tried to go there this trip, but for whatever reason we didn't go. It was, just didn't work out with the family. But we walked around it. We saw it from the outside. But it's supposedly a beautiful shul. And Rabbi Yashiv says that when you go in there, you're supposed to say this bracha, Matziv Baruch Matziv Gevul Almana. So it's rebuilt, and it's a shul. It was destroyed for many years, and it was rebuilt in its beauty. And so you would say that bracha, Hashem, who brings matziv, establishes the gvul, the border of a almana, of a widow, which refers spiritually, we're considered like widows when we were exiled. B'chorbanon, if a person sees it when it's destroyed during its time of destruction, Omer Baruch Dayon Ha'emes, he would say the bracha of Hashem is the true judge. But somebody spoke about neighborhoods of Goyim, or maybe official government buildings of the Goyim. So you say Beis Yeyam Yisach Hashem, when they're destroyed, you say Kel Nekames Hashem. Hashem is the God of punishment and revenge. Ula and Rav Chizda were going on the way, and they came to the door of the entrance of Rav China Bar Chaniloi that had been destroyed, and Rav Chizda was very sad. He gave off some type of a krech, sigh, a krech, like oh yeah. And they asked, Ula asked him, so what are you? Why it's not good to krecht? It's not healthy. And he brought a source that Rab says Anacha breaks half the body. Rabbi Yochanan says the whole body. It's not a good thing. So he says, how could I not sigh? The house that had 60 bakers by day, there's so many mitzvahs done in this house that it would be destroyed. How could I not sigh that it was such a mitzvah house? They had 60 bakers by day, 60 at night, and whatever anyone wanted. And the Rav China Bar Chaniloi would always have his hand ready to hand tzedakah to people, so they shouldn't be embarrassed, especially if they're coming from a wealthy background. They got poor and they don't want to ask. It says that he had 4 entrances. So wherever anyone was, they don't have to look to find the entrance. And anyone who entered hungry, they would leave satisfied. And he would always, even in the years of famine, he would have food outside. People could take. They're embarrassed to take by day. They could take at night. And this fell into a pile of a pile of garbage. Became like one big pile of garbage. So I shouldn't sigh. So he says, from the time he said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Ula told him back, he says that from the time of the Beis HaMikdash, it was a gzeira on the houses of tzaddikim that they're going to be destroyed, as it says in a pasuk in Isaiah, V'oznei Hashem tzivakos, that im loy batim rabim l'shama yiyu gedolim v'toivim me'ein yoshev, that that this is what's going to happen. And so Rabbi Yochanan says, but Hashem will return them to Yishuv, to a settlement. They'll be settled. As it says, Shir Hamalis l'David Abitchem Hashem Kartzion, just like Kartzion, Hashem is going to return it to become a settlement. So also the houses of tzaddikim are going to be returned to a settlement. And then Ula saw that Rav Chizda was not satisfied. So he told Rav Chizda, Dayoy la'eved sheyehei karabui. It's Rav Chizda said that even the Beis HaMikdash is destroyed, and you shouldn't be pained over the churban of the house of Rav China more than you are pained over the house of the Beis HaMikdash. So it's enough for the servant that it should be similar to his master, meaning the house of Rav China shouldn't be more painful than the Beis HaMikdash. So that's the story. Did we finish I don't know if we finished the whole story yesterday. Let's read it inside halfway through. Amar lei hachi amar Rabbi Yochanan. Let's start over there. So Amar lei hachi amar Rabbi Yochanan. We are let's see, about 15, no, more like 25 lines from the top of the page. Amar lei hachi amar Rabbi Yochanan. So he told him, Ula told Rav Chizda, he said, this is what Rabbi Yochanan said, from the time the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, it has been decreed on the houses of tzaddikim that they will be destroyed, and basically just like Hashem destroyed the Beis Hamikdash, and it atoned for the Yidden, so also Hashem destroys the houses of tzaddikim, and by doing that, it sort of atones for the sins, as it says in the prophet Isaiah, in the book of Isaiah, that ba'oznai Hashem tzivakos, I heard that from Hashem, in loy batim rabim l'shama yiyu gedolim v'toivim me'ein yoshev. If these big batim, many houses are going to become desolate and big and good, these big and good houses, there'll be no one dwelling in them, me'ein yoshev, and what basically means that the houses of tzaddikim, it's referring to the houses of tzaddikim, they're going to be destroyed. And so, in other words, this is part of the gzeira. This is part of the decree that's going to happen. That will happen with the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. And Rabbi Yochanan said that they will be destroyed, but they will be rebuilt. As it says, Shir Hamalois LeDavid, a psalm to David, Aboitchem B'Hashem Kartzion, who trust in Hashem like Hartzion, it won't be destroyed forever. And what does that mean? That Kahartzion, that it's like Hartzion, just like Ba Hartzion, Asir HaKadosh Baruch Hu Lachzir L'Yishuv, just like Hartzion is going to be returned to its settlement. Af Bateyam Shel Tzadikim Asir HaKadosh Baruch Hu Lachziron L'Yishuvan, the houses of Tzadikim are also going to be returned to their settlement. Okay, so what's interesting here is that we're emphasizing, this is an interesting point, that we're emphasizing that the houses of tzaddikim are going to be destroyed like the Beis Hamikdash, but they will also be rebuilt. So there is a vart that says, it's brought in one of the tshuvas of the Chassam Sofer. Chassam Sofer wrote a letter to a big Rav who moved to Eretz Yisrael, and he decided to move to Tzfas. And this was in the early 1800s. And the Chassam Sofer wrote to him and said that not to get into all the debate, the mitzvah to live in Eretz Yisrael or not to live in Eretz Yisrael or whatever, the holiness, is the holiness still there? Kid Shalashaita, there's all different discussions among the commentaries and the rabbis. But he said, there's no question that Yerushalayim is a extremely desolate place, he said. And that's probably why, you moved to Tzfas. But you should know that the holier a place is, the more it was destroyed. And therefore, Yerushalayim is so holy, I would like you to move to Yerushalayim. And I wish, my whole dream, the Chassam Sofer, is that I should be able to move to Yerushalayim. So the Chassam Sofer felt very strongly about dwelling in Yerushalayim. And he wrote to this Rav there that he should really move to Yerushalayim. So the thing is, but the point of that mentions in that tshuva, in that article, in that response of the Chassam Sofer, is that the more holy a place is, the more destroyed it is, and this maybe is connected to this idea that the houses of tzaddikim are going to be destroyed. In other words, because they are so holy, that's why they are more destroyed at the time of the destruction. They are going to be the ones that are more destroyed. The holier something is, the more destroyed it is going to be by the Churban. And at least I heard such a vart. So it seems like it's nice vart connected to this, to the nice connection to this tomorrow. So the the Gemara then says, but he wasn't satisfied. Rav Chizda was not. Chazia delay miyashav daite. The Gemara continues and says, Chazia, he wasn't satisfied. So Amar le dayo le'eved rabbi. So he told him that you really shouldn't be more saddened by the korban of the house of Rav China. You shouldn't be more saddened than the house of the Beis Hamikdash. It's enough that the student, the servant, it's enough should be like the rabbi and the like his master, and that means that the Beis Hamikdash is destroyed, and the servant should be not more than the master. So you shouldn't be more pained over the house of Rav China. Now the Gemara continues, and it mentions a halacha, which is actually a bracha that's recited. The bracha is when a person goes to a cemetery. Tanu Rabbanan. The Gemara says the rabbis learned in a brisa. We are by the dot. There's like one dot in the Gemara. It's like right in the middle of the page. Tanu Rabbanan. The rabbis learned in a brisa. Harei kivrei Yisrael. A person sees a kever, a grave of Yidden. Omer, graves, not just one actually. Kivrei. It's only plural. If you're in a place of a cemetery, it can't be just one. So you say this bracha, Baruch Asher Yotzer Eschem, then you say actually Hashem's name, Baruch Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam, Asher Yotzer Eschem Adin. He created you with judgment. Zon Eschem Adin. He sustains you with judgment. Chilkel Eschem Badin, and another term for sustaining you. And Va'asaf, he gathered you Badin with judgment. In other words, the death. Va'asid La Kimchem Badin, and he will bring you back to life in judgment. And by Tchias HaMesim. Mar Berei de Ravina, Masayim V'Mishmei de Rav Nachman, the son of Ravina, would end off in the name of Rav Nachman. He said you should end off V'Yoidea Mispar Kulchem, and he knows all of you. He knows each of you by number. He knows the number of all of you. And he is going to bring you back to life and give you existence. Baruch Machaya HaMesim. Blessed are you, Hashem, who is going to resurrect the dead. Now, what about if you go to a Goyish cemetery? Givrei Oivdei Kachavim Aimer. But if you go to a Goyish cemetery, you say Boisha Imchem. Your mother is embarrassed. Amar Rav Yeshua ben Levi. Rav Yeshua ben Levi says, Haroya Eschaveiroi Liachar Shleishim Yom. If you see a friend that you haven't seen 30 days, Oimer, you say Baruch Shachyanam Kibanav Yigon Elizman Hazeh. You say, blessed is Hashem, who gave me life, existence. He maintained my existence and brought me to this time, and meaning that I'm happy to be able to. I'm still alive to be able to see you. And so you see a friend after 30 days. You haven't seen him in 30 days. You say Baruch Shachiyanu Kimanu V'Yanu L'Zman Hazeh, that Hashem gave me to live until now to be able to see you again. What happens if you didn't see him for 12 months? So after such a long time, so then you would say that a bracha, Baruch Machaya HaMesim, you say the bracha, Baruch Machaya HaMesim, and the understanding is that if you say Machaya HaMesim, you don't say the Shechian. It's not like you say both brachas. That if you say Machaya HaMesim, blessed is he who resurrects the dead, you would say that bracha, and you would not say the Shechianu. Now, the point is that after 12 months, you forget about your friend. He's forgotten from your heart. And that's at least one of the explanations. So you say Machaya HaMesim. It's like he was forgotten from your heart, similar to a dead person. And that's why you would say Machaya HaMesim, who resurrects the dead. That's one of the commentaries in the back with the Rabbeinu Yoina, Talmid Rabbeinu Yoina.
Rabbi.
Yes.
Maybe this is why Yaakov could not be consoled over Yosef because he was still alive. So he was still in his mind, and he never lost this. He never despaired over his death because he wasn't really dead.
Right. Yeah, similar. Sounds like it's a good point. Sounds like you're right that it has something to do with a mace is nishkach milev, and here it wasn't forgotten from the heart. Yeah, it sounds like it's connected. Yeah, good point. There is a Maharsha that has a little different explanation. He says that every year you get judged on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and the fact that he was judged for life, in other words, if 12 months passed, so for sure Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur passed, and therefore he says that you were judged you could have been judged for death. You were judged for life. Hashem gave you life, so you were saved from death. Now the only problem is it doesn't really fit with a Iber year. A leap year is 13 months. So you could ask a question maybe on the Maharsha. But you could also ask that what happens if you see him a month after Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So there also he could have been judged for death. But I have to see if any of the commentaries talk about it. In any event, the bracha is after 12 months, person would say Machaya HaMesim. I don't know if people say these brachas nowadays. I don't think it's so common. So Rav says that mace is not forgotten from the heart till after 12 months. Shenem, as it says, nishkachti kameis milev. I have been forgotten like a mace is forgotten, like a dead person is forgotten from one's heart. Hayisi kachli yoived. I was like a lost object. And just like after 12 months, a object is considered lost, and that's even halachically so that that a person finds something, you have to call it out for the 3 holidays. And afterwards, you don't have to call it out anymore because the owner gave up hope. So the same thing is kechli yoived, like a lost object. So that's another rule about 12 months. And according to the first explanation, it's really connected. That why do you say Machaya HaMesim when you don't see someone for 12 months? Because it's similar to a mace that by a mace is forgotten from the heart after 12 months. Which also explains why mourning lasts for 12 months. Because the mace is still in one's heart. So it's part of the grieving is through the mourning. Therefore a person would be would mourn for that amount of time. Rav Papa, Rav Huna, Braid, Rav Yeshua, Havukazli, Barucha, Rav Papa, Rav Huna were going on the way. Pogo Be Rav Chanina, Braid, Ravika. They met Rav Chanina. And Bahadi the Chazinach, Amrulay, Bahadi the Chazinach. So they said to him, while we see you, Bahadi the Chazinach, while we see you, Barachinan Allah Tarti, let's say the 2 brachas, because obviously Rav Chanina was considered a great scholar. So they said these 2 brachas, Baruch Asher Cholak Mechachmasa Lireya. Blessed is Hashem who gave from his wisdom to those that fear him. U'Shachiyanu. And they said the bracha Shachiyanu, they didn't see him in 30 days. So they said Shachiyanu. Amar Lahu. So he said to them, in other words, Rav Chanina said to Rav Papa, Rav Huna, this is a interesting story, surprising, cryptic story, I should say. Amar Lahu, he said to them, Onanami, Kivan Ninu, since I see you, Chashavtinchu ilavoy, Keshitin Ravavon, Beis Yisrael. I consider you like 600,000 Yidden, because you are you are both so wise that you both are like 600,000. In other words, just like you have 600,000 minds, there's 600,000 minds amongst the Yidden, and in other words, different ways of looking at things. And so when you see 600,000 people, ein partzeiseim shabbos ve'ein deyosem shabbos, right? It says that there's 600,000 different ways of seeing things, of understanding, and that's the chacham, the special bracha of chacham harazim. When you see 600,000 people, you say the special bracha because there's 600,000 different opinions, and therefore I consider both of you like these 600,000, and therefore I'm going to make the bracha. 3 brachas. I'm going to say these 2 brachas. Cholak mechach masai, Hashem gave from his wisdom, and the bracha shachiyanu, because I haven't seen you in 30 days, and ubaruch chacham harazim, I'm going to say the bracha for seeing 600,000 people. What do you mean? He only saw 2 people, but they are equal. They are considered like 600,000. They're so wise. I don't know if we have anyone like that today, but you know, the bracha chacham harazim, you see here is a, you know, it's a bracha, you know, encompassing, someone who can encompass so many different ways of seeing things and understanding things, and so extremely wise. In other words, to say the bracha cholak mechachmasai liyareyav, that bracha, you got to be a great scholar. You have to be huge. To chacham harazim, you're talking about the scholar of, you know, the Einstein of the rabbis. This is the Einstein rabbinic, the rabbinic Einstein. You would say the bracha chacham harazim. Now amru lei, so they said to him, Chakimas kulei hai, are you so wise that you can recognize by seeing us that we have such a great, in other words, it takes one to know one. It's like, how do you're so wise to see in us this greatness? You can see that we're considered like the chacham harazim. So Yavabe einayu ushchiv, they put their eyes on him and he passed away. A very cryptic story. What exactly did he do wrong? And the simple understanding is they sort of looked at him and they were so impressed with him that it caused an ayin hara. It caused an evil eye. And because they caused an evil eye, that caused him to pass away. And
so who was that passed away?
This great rabbi Chanina Berei de Rav Ika.
Okay.
So he wanted to say this bracha, or he said the bracha chacham harazim, and the Gemara ends off that he looked at them, that they looked at him, and it caused there to be some type of a divine anger that caused him to die. So it's either one of the pshatim is that it's an ayin hara, and they caused like an evil eye, and there are other explanations that it was. There's a few explanations here that explain like what he did that deserved death. Now there is a whole discussion of why the Rambam doesn't bring this. In other words, it seems here that there's 2 brachas you say for a wise person. One is for a great scholar, and the other is for a huge scholar. And they discuss, would it be applicable to say it nowadays when you see a great scholar, the chacham harazim? Would it be appropriate to say such a bracha? So getting back to the first question, why did he get the punishment of death? So one of the pshatim is that he got punished for giving a halacha in front of his teachers. So even though they weren't exactly his teachers, but they were the Gedolei Hadar. So he sort of was paskening something. He was giving a verdict in front of them, which was considered like his teachers because they were the leaders of the generation. And maybe that would be a reason why he was considered like Meira Halacha b'fnei Rabbi. He teaches a ruling, gives a halachic ruling in front of his teachers.
What was the halacha that he gave?
That you say a bracha of Chacham Harazim, even if you don't have 600,000 people. It's a huge innovative halacha.
The addition, that's an halacha?
Well, that's what it seems like. He felt that that's the halacha, and they were impressed with him. But he, with such a statement. But that was seems to be the halacha that he was going to say that bracha, even though they're not 600,000 people, but they encompass the
vote as much as 600,000 people.
Yeah, at least they're able to understand the 600,000 insights into every. They have the mind of 600,000 people. So another pshat is that it's considered like a bracha levatala. They didn't really agree with him, and he said this bracha levatala, and since he paskined the halacha, that's not appropriate, and he relied on his own opinion, and that's what they said. Chachmas kulei hai. Do you think you're so smart that you can make such a halacha that doesn't say anywhere? So therefore, it's considered he did something wrong, and he was punished by death.
Rabbi,
yes.
Mapping out is this like mapping out the neshamot of a person and on various madregot on a different madrega? I mean, I don't understand this. It sounds very complicated. I mean, I'm trying to figure out that they were able to map the select group of people were able to actually map out the neshama of everybody. I
don't think we're talking about the neshama. We're talking about the mind.
Well, you see, mind, it's logical, but we're talking about the spiritual, the mind. Is it both the spiritual and?
No, it's the mind, but the mind that understands Torah. So the knowledge of Torah, but it's connected to the mind. So it's and of course that has to have fear. It has to be fear of heaven as well. What?
How can that be mutually exclusive from the neshama? I don't understand. I mean, you would think that would be connected.
Well, the souls, we don't know the level of every person's soul, but the understanding of Torah, that's something that's revealed. Something that could be revealed, something that you could see, something that you could discuss. You could share. So it's the neshama is more hidden.
I see.
And the Chacham Harazim is more. Is Chacham Harazim is be able to see things that is similar to 600,000 people. It's a huge level of. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean, maybe it does have something to do with the neshama, but it doesn't. Including the term neshama here, I don't know if it's appropriate. Again, it could be connected to the neshama. How do their neshama is on such a high level that it causes them to have such a huge brain? I mean, maybe it could be. I don't know. But it doesn't, it's not a known fact that one is interdependent on the other. Okay, yes, Ben.
Yeah, I wanted to say, it says that when he said Baruch Chacham Harazim, they gave their eyes at him.
Right.
So gave their eyes at him. Is that why you're saying Ain Hara? But I think it means they stared at him. They opened their eyes and stared at him, surprised at what he's saying.
So there are different pshat in what it means, but you're right. It could be ayin hara. Could mean they stared at him because they were arguing with him, or they felt he needed to be rebuked and stared at. Or there are a few different pshat. Right.
Or amazed. I don't know, but something.
So the Torah asks: is it possible that nowadays we don't have people in this league, and maybe you wouldn't say such a bracha? The Torah is unclear if it should be said. So there's a question on the Rambam, because the Rambam says that it doesn't say this bracha. He doesn't. The question is, why doesn't he write in his halacha sefer this bracha Chacham Harazim?
He wants to live.
Because so you could say, well, maybe because the Rambam follows that view of the Torah, that maybe nowadays we don't have anyone in that league. But they said, but the Rambam wrote his halachas even for Yemais HaMashiach, even when Mashiach is around. So if the Shulchan Aruch, fine, it's only applicable nowadays. When Mashiach comes, the Shulchan Aruch doesn't really write about karbanos. Doesn't have there's no section of the halachas of karbanos. The Rambam writes about karbanos, the Beis Hamikdash. So in the Rambam, it should write about Chacham Harazim. Should say about this bracha when Mashiach comes, right? We're gonna have this. He should mention it. So the Chassam Sofer had asked this question to a great Rav of Pressburg before the Chassam Sofer became the Rav of Pressburg. So he asked him this question. So the Rav of Pressburg, his name was Rabbi Shulam. He told him, he says that it's not such a question. He says the Rambam held like the Torah, that really you don't have to, you don't say such a, you don't. Nowadays there's no one in that league. But when Mashiach comes, everyone will be in that league. When everyone is that league, it says, "Umola haaretz deyas Hashem." The whole world will be filled with the knowledge of Hashem. Kemayim layom achasim, and it won't be anything new and nothing special. You don't say this bracha. You only say the bracha when it's something special, and therefore, when Mashiach comes, we're not going to have to say this bracha. And therefore, the Rambam left it out. But the Ragachover has another way of understanding this. The Ragachover going, he connects this very interestingly with the famous argument of Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai said that the halacha should follow us, and Beis Hillel said the halacha should follow us. And we don't find that anywhere else in the whole Shas, where some rabbi says, well, very rarely do you find such a thing. I shouldn't say we never find it, but we very rarely find it that they say the halacha follows, he says the halacha follows me, and the other one says the halacha follows me. What do you mean? You go by the majority and go by. Like, it's not the halacha follows me. You can say your view. The halacha, they'll decide. The rabbis will decide. You're going to say the halacha follows you? Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel both said the halacha follows them. Each one claimed, no, the halacha follows us. How could you say such a thing? Let the rabbis make the decision who the halacha follows. You're going to decide that the halacha follows you? That's what the final verdict is? So the explanation is no. The halacha follows majority. Beis Hillel says we are majority of quantity. How many people do we have? We have however many rabbis there were in Beis Hillel's academy, let's say 500. And Beis Shammai only had 250. So the halacha follows Beis Hillel, right? Because Beis Hillel says, but we're the majority, we're 500. But Beis Shammai said, no, you have 500 people there, but we have 250 people that are brilliant minds, Beis Shammai said. Our quality is more than your 500 quantity. And therefore we have the majority because we have much more depth. You got to look at the breadth, not just at the amount. You got to look at the depth. And if you look at the depth, we have more numbers than you. And therefore the halacha follows us because you got to go by the majority. We have the majority of brilliance. And so that was their argument. Do you go by quantity or quality? This is what the Ragachover going says. He says, now you could understand what happened over here. How many people do you need for the bracha of Chacham Harazim to say the bracha? 600,000 people. What did Rav Chanina want to say? You don't need 600,000 people quantity. You could go by quality. If you have a rabbi that's on the level of 600,000, say the Chacham Harazim. You can say such a bracha, right? It's unbelievable. He says this is what he was saying, that you could go by quality. So what did Rav Papa and Rav Huna do? They looked at him. We know such a view. That's the view of Beis Shammai. Beis Shammai was that view that you follow the quality. We don't follow that. We follow the quantity. You're following in the footsteps of Beis Shammai. In the Mishnah earlier said that he's deserving. Reb Tarfon was deserving of the death penalty because he followed the words of Beis Shammai. So this Gemara is really following that idea that Rav Chanina was following in the footsteps of Beis Shammai, and you're not allowed to. We hold like Beis Hillel, and the halacha follows the quantity, not the quality, and therefore you can't say this bracha for a person who's extremely knowledgeable because he's equal to 600,000. We go by the quantity, not by the quality. Anyway, that's the word from the Ragachava going. Okay, I want to wish you all.
Rabbi,
Yes.
we have a thing where if rabbis come along and they want to overturn something from earlier rabbis, they have to be greater not only in quantity but also in quality.
Good point. Good point. Good point. That's an interesting point. I have to think about that. Okay, very good. Well said. Yeah, interesting. I want to wish you all a very a good Shabbos and a good Gebench Diyar, a Zisiyar. Have a sweet, happy, healthy new year. And I'll see you all in Beth Hashem on Shem Gedalia. Hopefully we won't have to fast. But I'll see you on the day after Rosh Hashanah, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Right? Wednesday. Okay, Bez Hashem. Sei gesund, everyone.
Thank you, Rebbe. Have a
Thank
good
you,
Shabbos.
Rabbi.
Good Gebench
Shabbos.
Bye-bye.
Everybody have a good and sweet year.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, take care.